Hi guys, Simon Trezellian, Voice of Reason, and happy Inauguration Day. I know some people aren't particularly happy, but I think it's going to be a very, very different world from now on. So hopefully we won't get banned anymore. Hopefully the First Amendment will actually have some weight in this country from now on. So I'm going to carry on with the hero's journey. And we left you with crossing the threshold. And at that point, once the threshold is crossed, the hero then begins to attract to him the allies and the friends that he needs. You find this in nearly every story. Whether it be a teenage angst movie with the kid moving into a new school, there's some form of altercation, some form of threshold that is crossed, and all of a sudden, people see him for what he actually is, and this flawed kid starts to make friends. Very similar to like with Lord of the Rings, Frodo, he goes off with Sam Gamgee, and then attracts Pippin and Merry. You see exactly the same thing with Star Wars, where Luke Skywalker attracts C-3PO and R2-D2, and with Harry Potter with Ron and Hermione. So it's really important to understand that every story has a similar structure. And within these friends and allies, there are certain roles, if you like. Chief amongst these is the unfinished love. Okay, so there is always like a love interest, but not quite. It's like a forbidden love, and that happens in nearly every story. Sometimes it's the sidekick, sometimes it's the unrequited love of someone that's a crush. Certainly in Lord of the Rings, the forbidden love is the brotherly love between Frodo and Sam, and of course it can never be like a sexual love in the same way as with Luke Skywalker and Leia. He finds out it's his sister, even though he falls in love with her. And the same thing with Harry Potter as well, with Hermione. Everyone had money on him and Hermione getting it together at the end of the series. Not to be. So you always have that forbidden love, and that's a constant theme in most stories. And then, of course, there's the sidekick. And the sidekick plays a very important role. We see this in Batman and Robin. We see this with, say, Frodo and Sam. We see this with Harry Potter and Ron. They create such a bond. That's like a brotherly bond. But the sidekick always takes a subservient, supporting action towards that, and that's why you even have Oscars. You have, the lead role, and then you have the supporting role. So every story recognizes that the lead in the story must be supported in some way. His values, his decisions. Not all are going to be agreed upon, but it's really important that the hero seems to be supported. And then you got the bit part characters as well. So the ones that make up the entourage, if you like. And again, we see this in most stories. So the allies and the friends form this society around the leader, protecting him from harm, elevating the values that he has, and to start to move things forward. And you can see this in your normal life as well. You go to a new school, you start to make friends. You'll have like one really close friend, and perhaps a friend that you have this secret crush on, but it's never going to go anywhere. And then you're surrounded a little bit by this small group of people that are drawn to your resonance. And this is the power of it, and this is what's most important, is that this can only happen once the hero begins to exemplify who he or she actually is. As soon as that is made known, as soon as the values, the mission, the purpose of that hero is actually put out there for people to see, that creates what we call a law of resonance, so that when you resonate at a certain frequency, you start to attract others of like frequency. And this is why Otherwise one person would attract all the friends in the world and no one else would have any friends. The fact is we all have and give off a different resonance, and it's that resonance that attracts or repels. There are some people that absolutely despise people for no other reason than they have nothing to work with. There's no attraction there. So this is what we call this magnetic attraction. And like a magnet, it repels and it attracts. It attracts of like mind, and it repels that which is counter to that. So we see this in every story as well, and it's important for your life for you to start to put out that law of resonance. Once you do, you will attract those forces to you that actually really want to be with you and really correspond to your mission. But the most important thing in doing this is that the stronger your resonance, the stronger the power that you actually have within you, you find that you start to actively repel those forces that have no bearing and no support for you whatsoever. So it's a good way of actually operating. So think about that today. Who are you attracting? Who are you repelling? What are you giving off? What type of energy are you giving off? And I think once you recognize that, you'll see that you are the hero in the story. It's your responsibility to actually be authentic with that resonance. Because if you put out a bullshit resonance, guess what? You get bullshit friends, yeah? And they don't stay around for very long, because when the truth comes out and your authenticity actively has to come out, those friends will disappear. And how many times have we seen that? What we call fair weather friends. They're there just for the ride. They're there to actually gain something from you. But as soon as the life gets tough, they're nowhere to be seen. So that is a very, very crucial part to any story. That is our own story, or that the stories that you see in films. So that's Simon Giselian. I got a lot more to say. I've got a few things that are going on in my mind at the moment, and book launch coming out probably in next week, which I'll tell you about. So please do like, share, repost, whatever you can do, because we want to get these friends back that we lost because of the ban. Obviously, I got my timing totally wrong. I don't think that I would have been banned next week, if you like, with the things that I was saying, because sometimes the truth hurts. But this is going to be a big time of truth. So looking forward to that. Simon Giselian, out to you. Take care. Bye-bye now.